kluczy im każe, a nie zastanawiają się za bardzo nad tym, co jest napisane w kodzie.
Dobra,
Nie,
który to
nie zobaczymy openingu.
To był
O
drugi
nie.
save? Drugi save.
Drugi, tak, 24.
Bingo bongo.
Bingus.
Naprawdę w tym momencie do mnie babcia dzwoni, dajcie mi jedną sekundę.
To jest
Wyczuła.
tajnik babci.
Ona wie, ona wie.
Nie.
Ona wie.
Babcię zaproś na Umineko.
Babcia do mnie dzwoni i się mnie pyta, Adaś, jak się zmienia zdjęcie profilowe na Facebooku, bo
O nie!
zapomniała. Okay. Shannon, I've been calling to you for some time now.
Shannon jumped at the sudden sound of Genji's voice. Apparently he had called for her repeatedly. She hurriedly answered. When she turned back, Cannon had disappeared. It seemed he didn't feel like showing his tears to anybody.
A czemu on płacze?
Nikt nie pamięta.
No właśnie nie wiem, nie pamiętam co się działo ostatnio. Nic, nudy były trochę chyba.
No,
No właśnie ten Goda był niezadowolony z tego, że to nie on idzie do Beatryczy
O Jezu,
zanieść
on
jedzenie.
nigdy nie był zadowolony z niczego.
No i właśnie Kanon z Shannon rozmawiali o tym wiedźmowych sprawach.
Wiedźmowe Sprawy.
Wiedźmowe sprawy.
Mój ulubiony serial w telewizji.
no.
Zróbmy serial Umineko, Wiedźmowe sprawy, błagam.
No i widocznie Kanon.
Jako podtytuł.
Ja,
No jest
czemu
jakimś...
jako podtytuł?
Dobra, to czytam.
No dobra.
Yes, I'm sorry for being careless.
I entrusted Canon with lunch, but it should have been you as the next in rank after me, who carried it. Beatrice Sama is the most honored guest of this house. There is no more honored guest than her. Please think of her as another master and be polite. Please take extra care that you make no blunders, understand? It is quite painful for me to entrust this to someone as inexperienced as yourself, but there's nothing we can do about the house's rules. Carry out your duties with the utmost of care.
Jezu, Golda jest taki irytujący.
Gouda had officially agreed, but he glared at Shannon with an expression that told her he definitely wouldn't forgive any mistakes. Even Shannon thought that Gouda might as well go himself if he was so desperate to go. But she considered this one of her responsibilities as one who had been allowed to wear the Golden Eagle, and had to give up. And anyway.
No to powinien czytać.
And
Zobaczymy.
anyway... No dobra, załóżmy, że ja.
No.
And anyway, I wanted to meet Beatrice. What will I talk about? What will I ask?
No.
I don't know.
W sumie to można było poznać po tym, ile jest kropek w tym zdaniu.
Will this be a meeting of gratitude? Or one of grief? Or else... What? I don't know.
Piled the witch's food onto the serving cart and left the kitchen at a slow pace. The person knocking was Kraus.
Father, today is our annual family conference. Haven't the siblings gathered here just to get a glimpse of you?
Ah, be silent! I say I won't leave. You're there too, aren't you, Genji? Why haven't you had my food brought here as I ordered you to? Tęskniłam za nim.
Kinzo screamed across the door. Genji was waiting behind Kraus.
Your meal has been prepared so that it might be carried to the study. However, Kraus-sama has expressed his wish that you eat downstairs tonight.
Father, I'm not asking you to do this every day. Just for this one night, won't you gather together with your family?
Who are you calling family? Since when have you considered Vulture's circle in Wait for Roadkill to be family? Would you call Rotting Ozing Magot's family as well? On ich nienawidzi. Własnych dzieci.
My.
Albo powiedziane. Kraus shrugged at this answer, which he had half expected.
Genji, carry the meal here as you were told. Why don't you listen to what I say? Why? Why? Ooh. A nie, to nie. Nie ta postać.
To nie ta postać.
Genji-san, I leave this in your capable hands. My voice will no longer reach that man.
Gave his head a small shake, then quickly turned his back on the door to the study. He had only come calling to save face in front of his siblings, knowing full well how useless this was. After Genji watched Kraus disappear down the stairs, he called again across the door.
Master, we have finished preparations for your meal to be carried here. So,
I Habuseka.
Co się stało z Brosys?
zostałem zgankowany przez mamę.
O nie.
Panu, co się stało?
Dosłownie nic.
A, okej.
Master, we have finished preparations for your meal to be carried here. Shall we bring some for Dr. Nanja as well?
Could be seen in the study, because Kinzo had forcefully pestered him into finishing their long-lasting chess game they had been playing against each other since the early evening. Nanjo had announced as the doctor that Kinzo's days were numbered, so he couldn't refuse if Kinzo demanded that they finish this game while he still lived. Kinzo was thinking deeply about his move, concentrating more than usual. It had been Kinzo's turn for quite some time, and Nanjo, who was tired of waiting, had randomly pulled out a book on magic that he couldn't understand and was skimming it.
Kinzo-san, you won't think of a good move just by folding your arms and sitting in front of the board. Perhaps we had better take a break and refresh our minds.
Be silent! That should be enough to solidify my defense. Will the bishop and the knight be able to penetrate that opening?
Today, Kinzo was focused on maintaining a strong defense. Normally, Kinzo's motto was that offense was the best defense. However, today was completely opposite.
I am also hungry. Shall we suspend the game here? Besides, I've used my head so much without the break that I'm already feeling dizzy. At this rate, I might not be able to perform at my best.
Now that won't do.
They need to catch whichever. Okay.
In chess, both players must always make their best moves. Any other sort of move is merely a nuance to consider. Ruining focus is predicting your opponent's thoughts. Such a thing considering our enjoyment.
No daily
Daily masz
duży.
przegłos.
No,
A,
Ustaw
przepraszam.
niebieskiemu?
powiedziałam i olała to.
Zacięłaś mi się, dlatego nie słyszałam.
A, okej.
Kinzo sighed deeply and finally shifted his gaze away from the board. Chess isn't chess with an opponent. If that opponent is tired and wants to suspend the game, there's no getting around it.
True. The goal of chess is for both players to make the best possible moves and aim for victory. It's an intellectual game where reading your opponent is key. But, Kinza-san, have you forgotten that there is another goal besides victory?
What? What other goal could be possibly be?
They. Oh.
Ojej.
Halo, słychać mnie teraz?
Halo.
Teraz
Tak,
tak.
słychać.
Okay. To think that you, of all people, would forget something like that. Chess is a way to pass the time, having fun with a friend.
Dig! You got me there. I believe I once said those exact words to you long ago. Yes, you've got me there.
Kinzo, who almost always wore a frown, relaxed his face for once and laughed. Nanja felt like he'd been reunited with a close friend he hadn't seen in ages.
That's how it is. Now that I've managed to take a shot back at you, what do you say? Will you go down with me and have dinner? Why don't we discuss Kasparov's middle game, along with some coffee?
Casual and nerds. An appealing proposition, but I'm afraid I must decline. I can no longer leave this room. After all, the ceremony has already begun.
Is that so? Well, my stomach is growling. I will go downstairs. Anytime you feel like it.
Nanjo, thank you.
Oh, what could you be thanking me for?
We didn't finish our match. However, it seems I have somehow achieved what second goal of chess, which I had forgotten, and it would appear that goal is no less important than achieving checkmate.
This isn't like you. Why so sentimental?
You said it yourself, did you not? My days in this world are numbered. Now go, go, and don't come to this room again. Let us continue this match in the Golden Land. Yeah.
Well, that's fine with me. But we'll have to start over. Losing that rook was a serious blow. Well then, I will see you later.
Yes, later. Maybe in the Golden Land, or in Purgatory, or possibly in the next world.
Isekai.
Nenji didn't say anything beyond that. And, with a notion made smooth by familiarity, he pushed a button on the table that would release the auto lock.
King Zabilliak, I love you in every universe.
Real.
Then, after looking at Kinzel's back one last time, he left his study. As he did, Benji's voice came from the hall.
If you are ready, master, I will now carry in your dinner.
It may be my final dinner. I must savor it. Please, prepare it.
As you wish. And are your preparations complete as well, master?
Indeed, in the time leading up to this day, this room has been carefully wrapped in a multitude of barriers. Even if her roulette chooses me, I will definitely repair it. I will remain alive, and I will surely become one of those who reach the Golden Land. I shall repulse the visit of the Reapers trying to drag me off to the land of the dead.
Ostatnio mu nie wyszło.
Tak średnio wyszło.
Ja
Chyba się
myślę,
za
że
dużo
to
nie
jest
zmieni.
przyszłość. Ja myślę, że to jest jakby dopowiadają, co było wtedy.
Nie no,
Nie, bo nie było relacji Shannona z George'em. Shannony. Shannony? Jak to by się odmieniało?
Shannon
Shannon.
po prostu chyba.
Po prostu Shannon.
Hmm.
Excuse me, I have come to serve your meal.
Shannon entered the VIP room, bowing her head and pushing the serving cart.
VIP room?
The young woman by the window, gazing out into the supposedly empty darkness, was definitely that witch.
No way.
No way.
Beatrice!
So it's Shannon this time. How long it's been? Oh, your face isn't nearly as pale as it once was. I can see you're no canon. I hardly recognize you.
Thank you very much.
Solemnly prepared dinner. There were actually several things she wanted to ask the witch. But they were all jumbled up, and she didn't know where to start. Her heart was also jumbled up, and she didn't even understand her own emotions. So she could only do her job dispassionately, with everything still vague. However, the witch saw what was in her heart. You can't hide anything from a witch.
I won't apologize. I'm a witch after all.
Apologize for what?
Oh no, Canon must have told you about it. I only rescued your love life because of my mischievous spirit. It was nothing more than a seed I sowed, so I could watch your love grow complicated, become twisted, and fail.
I imagine some people think it's more fun to hear about love than to have it.
Ale ją zaorała.
Wow.
You couldn't possibly be trying to thank me, right?
I am. No matter what kind of ulterior motive you had when you gave me the magic of love, it doesn't change the fact that I received it from you. So even if you sowed that seed, knowing that the two of us wouldn't be able to stay together for life, I won't hold a grudge against you.
It seems furniture is dull after all. This is where I show my skill by cooking it into something interesting.
Jezola będzie cook?
I don't understand what you're thinking, Beatrice-sama. You are a great witch, and people like us don't even reach your feet.
See.
Nor can we even imagine your grand thoughts. But there is at least one thing I can say.
Skoro nie dorastają jej do pięt, to jak mają je całować?
Bro!
Good point.
Jorowinę?
What is it?
Thank you for teaching me to be human. You said it yourself. I am no longer furniture.
Whoa!
Be silent, furniture. If you were a true human, hearing the announcement of your death on the day that you were to receive an engagement ring should have you dancing around, not with grief. But what are you doing? Your face looks so enlightened, as though you were accepting everything.
Ale jest zawiedziona. Aż mi jej szkoda.
Truly an anticlimax. Furniture!
Coś chyba nie miała miłych przeżyć miłosnych Beatrycze.
Definitywnie.
No, I am not furniture.
Wow, ale się postawiła.
Be silent, furniture.
I won't be silent, because I'm not furniture.
Ta kłótnia jest niesamowita.
Are you saying you want to obey my orders?
Furniture obeys orders, but a human decides for herself whether to obey orders or not. So I won't obey your orders.
I take back what I said. You really are interesting. If I hadn't sowed those seeds, you probably wouldn't have be allowed the ceremony to control your fate without clinging to any emotions. But now you've grown to become something truly interesting. Something that will entertain me to no end. That is well. For am I not fond of boredom?
Dinner is ready. Here we go.
Ale sigma. Doesn't this look delicious? If a Gola makes it to the Golden Land, perhaps I should commission him as my chief cook.
I heard from Canon-kun. Something about how if I rejected George-san's proposal, you promised not to make me a sacrifice.
Indeed, I said as much. You would make an ideal potential sacrifice for the second twilight. But because Canon cried and screamed, asking that I spare you, I graciously listened to his words. With the condition that you abandon your engagement, of course. See how gracious I am?
W ogóle.
What a foolish offer! And what a foolish threat! So you used that to thoroughly bully Canon-kun, did you?
So you comprehend.
Shannon had seen through it. She had apparently guessed at how the witch had bullied and humiliated Canon with that horrible promises bait.
I made him crawl on the carpet and kiss my shoes. That is not all. Do you want to hear the other ways in which I humiliated him?
Shook her head.
Bro, wytyfy, jaka to jest dziwna propozycja od strony wiedźmy.
No, ona naprawdę ma ciekawe fetysze.
No.
Psychiczna jest trochę.
Ach. Może tak na staro się dzieje z człowiekiem.
Z wieku średniego.
I finally come to understand you. You like to bully, confuse and trouble people, and you do it to entertain yourself. So now I know for sure. The one single way I can resist you.
And what might that be?
I don't care about you. I'll carry out the fate that has been given to me. That's all. I won't entertain you.
Mocne.
Uuu.
Czemu jest to 2 U?
I don't
Jest tak w
care
szoku.
about you!
Nawet osoba, która robiła typesetting, była w szoku.
No.
Hmm. The witch's features twisted in hatred for just an instant. It disappeared immediately, but the expression that briefly rose to her face was rare for the witch, whose malicious smile usually never faded for a second.
I see, so you might resist me in that way. How amusing, how truly entertaining. I kill you. You and your lover both.
Groźba karalna. Groźba karalna.
If that's the fate you've decided upon, do as you will. I won't be afraid, and I won't stand against you. After all, I don't believe the cruel fate that's coming is something controlled by your will. We humans know nothing about fates that might come to pass in the future. That's why I'll live to the fullest, until the last instant, following my convictions and the fate set before me. Fate is just the roll of the dice. There's no malice in it. Even if you claim there is, I won't believe it.
Huh? So even though you've quit being furniture, you have no fear of death. It seems you believe this will bore me, but you couldn't be more wrong. The thought of seeing whatever you can hold onto that view until the last moment merely serves to intrigue me more and more.
I can't stand this. Why did you take the form of a human, appear in front of us, speak with human words and ridicule us? If you hadn't appeared in front of us, if you hadn't predicted the future, we would have been able to live life to the fullest until the last moment.
That's what witches do. I live off to your fates, ranking as a high
Rain.
order being does over low order beings. Your fates are nothing more than fragments. If I cup my hands together, I could scoop out as many of those as I want. Just like how, no matter what the beef cows, I raise my babble. It doesn't change the fact that I'll be having them for dinner.
We are powerless, so we cannot fight against your ceremony or fate. But I can make you unhappy right now.
Huh? And how are you planning to accomplish this?
By walking away from this place, right now. No matter how I respond to your words, it will only amuse you. Refusing to respond to your questions is my only method of resisting you.
I see. You might be able to take a shot at me, but you cannot defeat me, yes? I have the power to kill anyone for eternity. I cannot wait to see whether you can keep that resistance in an endlessly repeating cycle of death and rebirth. Don't you forget it, okay? You spoke those words yourself.
Well then, if you will excuse me, if you need anything, please call me.
Gave a reserved bow and faced away. With that gesture, maybe she really did take a shot back at the witch, just as Beatrice had said. Because when the witch called out again, she sounded a little more quick-tempered than she had before.
Can thank me, can't you? Can't you thank me for bringing you your day of rest?
Furniture may be happy when their day of rest comes, but I am a human, so I have nothing to thank you for. Is that all you have to say?
You plan to accept George's ring, yes? Don't forget that if you do, I will abandon the promise I made with Canon. The promise that you would not be selected as a sacrifice.
If you need anything else, I'll have someone else come. If you will excuse me.
Shannon still hadn't answered her. And the sound of the door closing came instead of an answer. Shannon's resistance probably struck far more deeply into the witch than Shannon herself thought. Because an expression of hatred once again rose to Beatrice's face. she had made Canon submit, even though he hadn't been easily ensnared until the end. Whereas Shannon, who had been so easily ensnared before, refused to submit this time.
I see. So that's the state of affairs is amusing after all. Perhaps I am still young. This is why I haven't tired of life after 1,000 years.
Żyłam 1000 lat i nadal jestem głupia.
I młoda!
I
przede
młoda,
wszystkim.
i młoda.
Tak, tak.
This was the most fabulous part of the family conference. Dinner. In the past, when Kinzo had been serious about the conference, he'd taken everyone's yearly gathering for dinner very seriously. Because anything embarrassing that occurred during the dinner would cause the deepest shame for him as the host. He had given Natsuki stern orders to avoid embarrassments at all costs. Because of that, she and Kraus eventually hired Goda, who had confidence in his cooking abilities. Thanks to that, they became able to serve wonderful dinners they could be confident in. But by that time, Kinzo had closed himself up in his study and never appeared for dinner. Maybe you could call that ironic. For tonight, Graf's steak was set out. Goda began to describe it proudly, further stimulating everyone's appetites.
The sauce here is Bordelaise. Of course, the red wine base I used was excellent, even among those made in Bordeaux, but in addition, I prepared an original blend of this house. A blend of choice alcohol from around the world to further deepen the taste. The sauce is limited to this year. I sincerely hope you all enjoy your meal.
Isn't that wonderful? However, isn't Bordelaise sauce common to French cooking? It almost seems like using alcohol from outside France with that is heresy.
Kraus-sama. Today is the annual family conference. As a dinner for those who normally live far away and who have traveled far from across the world to gather together, I realized it would be most fitting to have a sauce made from a blend of fine alcohols from all over the planet that have never met each other before. So I had it specifically prepared.
Wonderful! A truly wonderful cook! That's what you are! Food and medicine work twice as well if you sell it right. It's already twice as delicious as a normal food, and the advertising makes it twice as good as that. The taste keeps doubling and doubling!
Tak naprawdę z 5 listków polanych
Ha,
sosem.
ha, ha, ha. Ja nie będę się śmiać jak Daily. Come on, Nissan. That question of yours was obviously a plan.
No doubt about No doubt about it. You totally set Goda-san up to steal the show on that one. You think so? I thought there might be some people here who didn't notice that today's food went in the French style.
Okay.
After all, Eva just said that avoiding butter was a virtue. But that's the Spanish style. Well, I guess they do share a border, right?
That's not what I meant. Will you please not take a part of the conversation out of context and make stuff up?
Dosłownie Janusz Korwin-Mikke.
Daily!
It's very delicious sauce. Gouda-san, you certainly are amazing.
It is a great honor to receive your praise. And this is all thanks to Madame's habitual guidance.
A, to ja. No, it was all Goda's idea. I only listened to the recipe and approved of it.
It looked like the siblings quickly got into a loud argument about the sauce.
Kłótnia o sos.
But, for the most part, dinner proceeded peacefully. To się tak zawsze zaczyna, największą głupotę.
Wow.
However, a certain question they desperately wanted to ask burned inside each one of them.
Tak jak kłótnia o wino bezalkoholowe.
Kiedy była
Nie było
kłótnia o
takiej
wino
chyba.
bezalkoholowe?
Nieważne, nieważne.
A, okej.
It was about that visitor, the 19th person, the Golden Witch. In actuality, even Rudolph and the rest were very much on their guards during this meal. If the mystery guest was ever going to be introduced, this dinner table would be the most appropriate place to do it. However, no place was set at the dinner table for the witch. The family
Nie
conference
lubię jeść z innymi. Pro.
się boi, wstydzi się, ma
No.
fobię. The family conference would begin in earnest after the meal, and previous experiences told him that it might last until deep into the night. However, they couldn't imagine why such a person should be kept hidden until that late, if they were going to be introduced in the end anyway. Oh. Eva and Rudolph and the rest were starting to feel a certain suspicion. Perhaps this guest was unknown even to Kraus. If this wasn't an assassin called by Kraus to give him an advantage in the inheritance problem, then maybe they should speak frankly to Kraus beforehand, creating a common front to resist anything disadvantageous to the four siblings. If she was Kinzo's assassin, his purpose was to keep the inheritance from being handed over to the four siblings. The enmity between Kraus and the other siblings could only become a weak point that benefited the enemy.
Well then, please enjoy at your leisure.
When he finished explaining the reasoning behind the table setting and the cooking, Goda tried to leave the room, but he recalled to him to a stop with a small voice.
Yes, Kirya-sama. What is it?
Please excuse me. I was under the impression we had company today, but can we expect to be joined at the dinner table?
She had been saying it nonchalantly, but unfortunately, it reached the ears of Natsuki, who was sitting in the next seat over. It seemed that Natsuki heard it as, "Even though the guests are here, why hasn't the host come to dinner?" In other words, that Kiria had asked whether Kinzo was going to join them for dinner.
A, przepraszam. The family head is not at his best, so he said he would take dinner in his study. I believe my husband explained that in the beginning.
I I'm sorry, that's not what I meant.
Reaction instantly told Kyrie that this unknown visitor was also unknown to Kraus and his wife. Which meant, on the chessboard inside Kyrie's mind, she could hear the clattering of the pieces as they rearranged themselves. What do you mean we have company? Butler, who was sitting next to Natsuki, seemed to have heard Kyrie's words without misunderstanding them. Thinking it was strange that someone else would be invited to today's family conference, he spoke up incredulously. And thanks to that, the uncomfortable feeling building in the siblings' chest suddenly exploded. Everyone looked at Koda at the same time. Judging by their reactions, it was clear that no one here had invited that mystery woman. For an instant, Goda was startled to find everyone's gazes gathered on him, but because of his naturally vain personality, this actually gave him a feeling of superiority. Therefore, he answered in an extremely calm and graceful manner.
That is correct. Our guest wanted to eat alone in the VIP room and is being served there.
That extremely graceful and reasonable response of Goda's made it obvious to everyone that a 19th person, a visitor, existed.
The VIP room? A guest? Well, who are you talking about?
His words echoed the question that everyone who didn't know about the appearance of the Golden Witch was thinking. For a while, Goda was disoriented, caught completely off the guard by the sudden interrogation. This was a guest who had been treated with such deep respect. He hadn't imagined that Kraus and his wife might not even know about her.
The guest is, Beatrice-sama.
Ooh. Beatrice! See, Beatrice came! Ooh!
I'd been telling the other cousins over and over again that she had met Beatrice that day. The cousin had answered flippantly, but they hadn't believed. So their eyes grew wide. Sorry, I thought you were joking, Maria. So she really was there.
By Beatrice, you mean that Beatrice, which the gold.
Nie, ta Beatrice ze srebrem. Ooh! I've been saying she exists the whole time! No one believes!
Sorry, Maria-chan. That's not how we meant it.
That everyone had doubted Beatrice's existence, Maria, who had been in a good mood all day, completely lost her temper. George, who sat in the next seat over, tried frantically to calm Maria.
Goda, is this some sort of dinner entertainment? Quite a performance. Aniki, quit playing dumb. You called her here, right?
Sama się zaprosiła.
Called? Called whom? From where?
Nissan, let's be clear about this. Who is she? Surely you aren't going to tell us it really is the Beatrice from that portrait, right?
I don't have a clue what you people are talking about. Goda, you really aren't joking, right?
I was just ordered by Genji-san,
Call for Genji. Immediately! Bruh.
When Natsu healed, Goda sped out into the hallway. The sound of the door being thrown open was the spark that suddenly set the dinner table ablaze.
Pożar!
O, pożar na stole.
Pali się.
So, you're saying you're in the dark too, Adiki? Who called her? Was it Dad?
No way.
I don't know anything about this. It seems you people think I've been pulling the strings behind the scenes, but that's a huge misunderstanding.
Calm down, Cross-Nissan. We've gone past the stage of skirmishing with each other. If you're saying even you don't know this mystery person, then something crazy is going on.
Hideyoshi-san, can't you be a little more discreet with your words? My husband would not invite unnecessary people to the family conference.
Obviously. What are you people talking about? Are you saying the witch of the portrait has broken out of her frame and appeared?
Fuck.
It's not as though anyone's actually met this witch face to face.
I met her.
Wow, ale statement.
Eva and Rudolph nodded at Rosa's proclamation.
Ooh, I met her too. Uncle Kraus, believe it. Believe Mama. Ooh. Ooh.
The was broken, and Maria also started to make a ruckus. By now, the room was totally wrapped in chaos.
I don't have a clue what's going on. So, what does this mean? Does it mean the witch who gave grandfather the gold is showing up as a special guest this year?
But is that really true? Androsa didn't seem wrong, did she?
Co to było za...
Nie, o dobra. I met her too. Ooh, 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 ooh. Dużo
And Rosa, are you sure?
Yes, Maria and I met her. And we even talked to her.
Nie no, crazy.
I met her. That was definitely a witch. Believe me, I definitely didn't see it or wrong or hallucinate or anything. What on earth was that?
Godne zaufania.
Mhm.
Wierzę jej na słowo.
In the instant before the typhoon arrived, Rosa definitely met a witch in the rose garden. But the scene had been so hard to accept as truth. The more she spoke of it like this, the less she understood what it was she had encountered. Ironically, since she was losing her composure, the more frantically she tried to cling to her claim, the more confused and hazy the thing she was describing became. Because of that, it only took a single, calmly spoken sentence to confirm the nature of what she was describing beyond doubt.
You know? No. I also met with her. I greeted. Well, I couldn't really call it that. I exchanged a few words with her. It's definitely not something that Rosa-san just so wrong.
Kiri-san, are you serious?
Yes, but she didn't tell me her name, so I can't say for certain that she was Beatrice. However, and sorry if this is subjective, but since I met her in the entrance hall, I was able to compare her face with the portrait. My first impression was that this portrait has to be hers. This is all just subjective.
That isn't possible! In the first place, where did that woman came from? The only boat arriving today was the one that brought all of you here. Was she on that boat?
Well, it's hard to say for sure. Of course, I don't remember any woman like that getting off the boat with us.
Oh, is that all? Can you prove there wasn't a boat besides the one we rode on? You can't! You can't prove one didn't come!
Makes sense. If the boat did arrive, it might be possible to prove it. If someone saw it and said they saw it, then you're done. But it's impossible to prove that such a boat didn't arrive. Even if someone says that no such boat arrived, that they didn't see it arrive, you can't prove that it didn't arrive secretly. It's that thing they call a devil's proof.
Wow.
It'd be simple to prove that devils exist. All you have to do is meet a devil.
Proste.
Proste, co nie? Logiczne. But it's impossible to prove that devils don't exist. Just by saying that no one has ever met a devil, you can't deny the possibility that they're hiding away somewhere that humans can't go. You can't deny the existence of aliens for exactly the same reason. Until humanity searches the whole of space and can show perfectly that aliens don't exist, you can't be sure that they don't exist. And it's definitely impossible for us to ever check the entirety of space for the existence of aliens. Therefore, while there may be a number of ways to prove that aliens do exist, it will always be impossible to show proof that denies their existence.
So, any discussion about there being a second boat would just be a waste of our time. She wasn't on the boat with us. That much is a fact. So she must have arrived on this island through some other means.
A co jak przyszła wczoraj?
Nie.
Nie, takiej opcji nie ma.
That's right. There might be no need to discuss how she came here. What's important is that she's actually in this mansion now and doesn't feel like having dinner with us.
Okay, let's review. Right now, there's another guest on this island, other than the 18 people with the Ushirimiya family. And this is a guest even Aniki and Natsuhi-san don't know about, right?
I know nothing! I don't know what you're talking about.
Be silent for now. Your
Wow.
headache will get worse. It is as my wife says. I have no idea what you people have been talking about up until now.
Then there can be only one answer. Father called her here. Called her here for today's family conference.
For the family conference? Again, why?
I don't know that. I'm questioning you because I thought you might know.
Eva, could you give it a Red Bull? Croix said he doesn't know. So here's what we've got. Father stealthily invited the Witch of the Portrait as a secret guest. And she met with Rosa-san and Margit-chan and then Kiryu-san. That's all for now. If she has something to say to us, she could just show up herself right away. Now we've gotta wonder why she's shut herself up with greeting us.
Does this mean Dad, who never gave a crap about this family conference in the first place, secretly called a new mistress here?
Ooh.
And had her wear the clothes of his ideal witch? These days too important for that explanation to fly.
O, sorry. O, jest.
A, możesz? To
Mogę,
jest scrollem chyba.
scrollem, tak.
Które to jest?
O.
To na samym dole, tak?
Nie, teraz ja przeskipowałem
No tak,
tylko
to na samym dole.
niektóremu.
Tak.
Dole, no.
There can be only one reason to join in on the family conference. She wants to claim some right to father's inheritance. Ridiculous! The family head wouldn't have something as filthy as a mistress. Skąd wiesz?
I told you to be quiet. I've lived in this mansion with father all this time, and I've never heard a thing about something like that. If we stretch plausibility to the limit and assume father had an illegitimate child with some mistress decades ago, then maybe father searched her out and called her here today. Is that what you're trying to say?
Dear, it's absurd to think father has such a child. To waste the noble blood of the Ushiromiya family on a mistress. Ugh. This is nothing more than a few people making wild claims. It's obviously a fantasy, a delusion, a daydream. Or is everyone taking part in some kind of act to trick my husband? What the hell? What act? If anyone's acting, it's you! What the hell?
Quit it, Anarchy. Natsuhi-san may be a bit over vehement, but she's right. Kiryu saw her, I didn't. Neither did you, Anarchy, but Rosa did. But that means she exists. There are people who can prove she exists, so we're sure right away that she does. It's the opposite of a devil's proof. And I want to meet her too. I wanna ask her directly what kind of business she has with the Ushiromiya family. I agree with you on that. I do indeed wish to inquire as to what business she has on Rokkenjima.
Don't play dumb! There's only one thing she could be after. Father's inheritance. We should work out our future plans with a lawyer who's hot on inheritance issues. If the mistress claims equal rights as mother, then our shares will be cut right in half.
Wait a second, everybody. Kenji-san will come very soon. He knows everything. I'm sure he'll answer one question. Our questions. Until then, let's stop talking about this. Hey, you kids! Sorry, but the adults have to start talking about something complicated. Return to the guest house.
Rosa yelled at the children, slightly overcome with emotion. The children didn't understand why they were suddenly being yelled at this time, but Eva and the rest realized it is too late. They were talking so bluntly about the filthy topic of the inheritance right in front of the children. Ooh. Of course they wouldn't want their children to remain, so they all immediately agreed with Rosa's plan.
That's right, just as Rosa's son says. George, take all the cousins and go back to the guest house. You all play nice together. Bro, on nie ma z 20 lat.
George, do as you're told. Take all the cousins and leave right now.
Wait a second, mother. We still haven't finished eating.
Bro! Nie można zjeść w spokoju. Ooh, and desert hasn't come. Jeszcze raz. Ooh, and desert hasn't even come yet. Ooh. Ooh.
We will have Golda-san take Desert to the guest house. So leave.
Jessica, from here on, the adults will be taken together. Go. Talking together, sorry.
Sure, even though I'm still eating.
Takie smutne.
Well, I guess I won't be the only exception.
A nie mogłam zabrać talerza z widelcem i po prostu sobie go wziąć?
Nie no, muszą być
tak
podane.
To nie jest sophisticated, nie rozumiem.
A ja bym tak zrobiła, ja bym zabrała je ze sobą.
Ja bym jeszcze wzięła sobie takiego kotleta największego, co leży.
Deszcz pada, więc może to być trochę niewygodne.
Dostalibyście wydzielić część
Jedno
za to.
parasol, dwie osoby biorą żarcie całe ze stołu. Trzecia osoba bierze jeszcze pićko.
Piękne. To jest grill mindset.
Tak.
Thanks for understanding, Battler Kun, but you sure are lucky.
Huh? Huh? Why?
O.
Huh?
I'd want to leave if I could. Bro.
Ale ona chyba nawet nie ma nic do gadania, więc może pójść sobie.
No. Ona nic
Nie no, ona musi kręcić szachownicą.
Musi,
Daję
ale musi
pokręcić.
kręcić szachownicą.
Ona nie jest Ushiro Miya, to ona nie ma nic do gadania.
Ale bez niej nikt nie będzie kręcił szachownicą.
Butler, a nie, bo on idzie sobie.
I bet. I'll let you adults enjoy your happy family chat about the inheritance.
I will also leave my seat. At any rate, it appears my turn will not come tonight.
O.
Nanger quietly rose to his feet. From his seat in the farthest corner, he'd been calmly watching the whole discussion without butting in. Surely that reaction of his was very good. Adult, just what you expect of a cold, old gentleman. When Nanger rose from his seat, he ended up encouraging the others who were supposed to leave. The children noisily rose from their seats, and as they hurried into the hallway, the servants returned.
I apologize for taking so long. I have called Genji. I was checking to see that all of the doors and windows were shut, so it took me some time. My apologies.
Come on, children, to the guest house. Golda-san, my apologies, but could you carry the children's portions of the dessert to the guest house?
Is that what you wish?
It seemed the goddess wasn't amused to see the dinner he'd worked so hard on interrupted like this. He sent Natsuki a look as though asking her whether that was really okay.
Do as Rosa-san says, and it will not be necessary to set out dessert for us. Do not approach the dining hall until we call for you. Tell the rest of the servants to do the same. Understood?
Yes, as you wish.
O Jezu, on tak się napracował. Będzie musiał sam to zjeść.
Come, everyone, shall we go? Maria-san, you mustn't trouble your mother anymore.
Ooh, I wanna talk about Bito too. No, no, no. Ooh.
Maria-chan, could you tell us about Beatrice in the guest house? I really want to hear about the witch. Okay?
Ooh. Ooh.
You're pretty darn smooth, George Nissan. I'm impressed.
Are you sure you don't have kids? You're used to this.
Browy proszę.
George's words had completely restored Maria's good mood, and now she took the initiative, telling the others to head on to the guest house. It looked like Goda didn't like being kicked out himself, but he couldn't disobey Natsuki, so he left the room with Battler and the rest, closing the door.
Is there some way I might be of service, everyone?
Yeah, there sure is. We've got a whole bunch of questions. In fact, every one of us does. So much that we almost want to have a lottery to use to see who gets to ask first.
But no matter who wins the first lottery, the first question will be the same, won't it?
Who is this Beatrice?
Myślałem,
That's
że who is this
right.
bitch?
Bitch.
Oh yes!
That's right. Genji-san, answer me honestly. Who is this person called Beatrice in the VIP room right now?
Wiedźma. O,
5
Możemy-
minut przerwy?
No,
No, okej.
te
okej.
ciastka dojść. To trudne.
A 10 minut przerwy?
10, niech będzie,
No, myślę,
dobra,
że
no to
lubię.
Niech będzie 10.
Sigma.
Pozdrawiam. Chyba jeszcze nikogo nie ma.
Halo.
O, halo.
Halo.
Nie zgadniecie, co sobie zrobiłam do jedzenia.
Frytki.
Tak!
My dzisiaj jedliśmy też frytki, ale niedobre akurat.
Sigma! Nagrodę dostaniesz.
Tak?
Tak, czekaj.
O. Ale to nie, też musiałam, też miałam.
Oki. O Jezu.
Ja muszę się przyznać, już jakiś czas nie jadłem frytek.
Ja nie mogę.
Dzisiaj głównie grzanki jadłem.
Boże, jaki lód.
Boże, masz niedobór. Straszne.
Jeszcze... O. Kolega polski. Kurde.
Słychać mnie?
Tak.
Wszyscy są? No, jeszcze Blumuna nie ma.
Ciekawe, co się stanie.
Medal zrobiłam.
Co?
Na ogólny, Jezu.
A. Oj.
Za co ta nagroda?
Za to, że jako pierwsi zgadli, że jadam frytki.
O.
Wow.
Nie chce mi się włączyć zdjęcia. O.
Sorry.
Piękne. Patrz, mamy nagrodę. Bo zgadliśmy. Nieważne. Little misunderstanding. Nic. Już śpi.
Nic nie odgadł.
Niesamowite.
Ja
Jestem.
Dobra, wszyscy są.
A. Co zgadłaś?
Dla frytki.
Hideyoshi's claim that advertising doubled the taste was
No.
apparently right. After being chased out to the guest house, the kids and Nanjo had gathered in the cousin's room and were eating the cake that Kumasawa had brought for dessert.
Nam co tam bardzo pasuje.
It was both wonderful and high class, topped with lavish amounts of cream and decorated deliciously with fruits. But delicious as it was, it didn't taste quite as good for some reason.
Without Goda-san selling it, it isn't nearly as good.
And if we ask Kumasawa-san to sell it, she'd just say it's made of mackerel.
No. Ooh, really? You can make cake of mackerel?
Maria jest fanką chyba.
Jakby ktoś bardzo chciał. Myślę, że się... Absolutely, and as you can see with this very cake, if... Słuchasz mnie?
Tak, tak.
Sorry, boguję się, pokazuje, że nieprawda. Okej. If you mix the squeezed juice of the mackerel with flour and eggs before cooking, it comes out all fluffy.
That would be incredible if true. Maybe mackerel cake will show up on the new menu at one of Father's restaurants.
After all, mackerel's full of nutrients and sounds healthy. It might get really popular with the women and the elderly. But I'm not gonna get anywhere near it.
Women i eldery, bo medy nie dbają o zdrowie.
Nie muszą.
Rozumiem.
Słuchasz mnie?
Tak.
Tak.
Girls won't eat something that weird. Even the elderly would wish to decline. But it's delicious, you know?
Really cheering up the mood with our classic mackerel jokes. But the sound of the downpouring rain kept turning their attention towards the mystery guest. In the end, they showered Maria with questions again, since she was the only person here to have met Beatrice.
I can't believe she was actually telling the truth.
You make it sound like though you never believed it. This Maria meets a witch business isn't news to you.
Yeah, I thought I was just one of those fairy tales you'd expect from a dreamy kid that age.
Sorry, She
To jest-
exists! Beatrice exists! Every year when we come to the family conference, I meet her and we play together.
To jest lore accurate, że jesz, bo oni też jedzą desert.
Wow.
Wow.
Postaram się.
That's right. Although Beatrice doesn't usually show herself, I hear she sometimes unexpectedly appears before honest people with clean hearts. Na pewno nie przed babcią, bo ona jest podejrzana.
To ona stoi za wszystkim. Ech,
No, często jest druga połowa jej twarzy na drugim ekranie.
to prawda.
Tylko ci, co mają dwa ekrany, widzą tą drugą połowę.
My mamy stream tylko z jednego ekranu.
Nie mam drugiego,
Niestety.
przykro mi.
Nie!
Więc widzimy tylko jedną połowę przez to.
Beatrice referred to that character in the fairy tale about the Rokkenjima witch.
Tak naprawdę to mam drugi ekran i na tym drugim ekranie po prostu piszę po kolei wszystko, co ma być w tej serii.
Wow.
To keep Kinzo in a good mood, the family and servants acted as though they believed in the witch of his delusions. That's how Rokkenjima's fairy tale, or maybe ghost story, had come into being. To the family members who knew the backstory, the fairy tale of the Golden Witch wasn't something to be taken too seriously. However, they were never able to say that out loud in front of Kinzo. Because of that, the legend of the witch carried a lot more weight to someone like young Maria, who didn't know the story of how it had come into being. And that's why Maria believed in the legend of the witch. She accepted it entirely. That was only natural for an imaginative girl who believed in witches. So people had avoided saying things that would betray her dream. On the contrary, they had worked together to say and do things that would help liven up her dreams without her knowing.
So, when Maria-chan was showing us that candy that supposedly came from Beatrice, I figured someone subtly slipped into her handbag.
I have done similar things a few times in the past, secretly placing sweets somewhere. I imagine even Kumasawa-san, or rather, all the servants and everyone in the Ishidoniya family has done it once or twice.
If it would make a small innocent kid happy, you might place a sweet somewhere and make everyone join in on keeping the secret alive for her. Come to think of it, I'll bet you do that kind of thing all the time, George Aniki.
Who knows?
And probably boorish to admit to such a thing out loud. George admitted it while being extremely wary that Maria didn't find out. In other words, it's kind of like Santa Claus. Beatrycia to Mikołaj?
Przynajmniej nie Dziadek Mróz.
To protect the kids' dreams, the parents plot together and lie, setting presents at the bedside of a child fast asleep.
To kto jest Dziadkiem Mrozem tutaj?
A
Dobra,
kogo nie
kto jest
lubimy?
gwiazdorem?
Nikt się nie odezwał.
Daily.
After all, you want to protect the kid's dream, right? Obviously, I've known Santa doesn't exist for a long time now. But if there's no reason to wake up from a dream like that, I wish I could have believed it all my life.
A co jak Maria jeszcze wierzy i oni mówią przy niej o tym, że Mikołaj nie istnieje? Chociaż nie, ona nie uwierzy im, nieważne.
Because adults know that the world is filled with terrible things, they will want to at least protect the pure dreams of a child.
Ooh, Beatrice exists! Exists!
Yes, she does. Beatrice Summer does exist, right? Some time ago when I was drying mackerels to make some black tea, suddenly...
Well, it basically goes something like that. Supposedly, at least.
So, simply put, this was supposed to be a witch that no one but Maria believed in.
Przepraszam.
Na spokojnie, przeczytałem do końca.
I wouldn't phrase it quite like that. The point isn't that we didn't believe. We were all trying to give her a chance to believe.
So, this is about not betraying a child's innocence. But Santa doesn't exist in reality. You don't want
Co?
kids. If you don't want
What do you
kids
mean?
to be all disappointed when they learn the truth, you'd better off not showing them that dream in the first place. Is the fact that I think like this proof that I'm still a long way from becoming a full adult?
Nie wiesz, jak mogli powiedzieć, że Mikołaj nie istnieje.
The true nature of the Rokkenjima witch was finally starting taking shape in Battler's mind.
Fake news.
Real.
However, their current situation overrode this understanding, and in fact, it completely overturned its very premise. So we thought we knew what was going on, but now Beatrice Sama the Witch has actually appeared in reality. Is that it? And judging by how freaked our parents were, it looked like she wasn't an invited guest. Now it's starting to get interesting.
There's no reason for us to simply assume that a woman called Beatrice doesn't exist. It's what Uncle Rudolph called a devil's proof. None of us knew that a woman calling herself Beatrice existed. But that's not the same as proving that Beatrice doesn't exist.
Zwłaszcza, że 3 osoby widziały Beatrice.
Fuck.
Kwa, kwa, kwa.
Tak.
Słownictwo!
Bo ja tylko mówiłam kwa. Nie wiem o co
Okej.
chodzi. Dr. Nanjo, you've been friends with grandfather for a long time, right? At one point during the family conference, I was questioned quite thoroughly by Cross-san and the others. They wanted to know if long ago, Kinzo-san might have had a mistress called Beatrice as an illegitimate child with her.
I get it. Our parents have their hands full with the inheritance problem. So, of course, if the daughter of a mistress like that showed up, it'd be troublesome for them.
San and the rest probably asked Genji-san about it first. However, Genji-san is an ID who's sworn loyalty to Kenzo-san and is probably a friend more trusted by Kenzo than myself. I doubt he told them anything, so next they went to ask me, as an old friend of his.
When all is said and done, Dr. Nanjo, did grandfather have a lover called Beatrice?
Hello, słuchaj.
Teraz tak.
He did. No, I have never met her. However, I have heard from Kinzo-san that he had a relationship with a woman like that. He said he passed away a very long time ago.
She's dead. So, did the two of them have a kid?
That I do not know. But Kenzo-san always says that reviving Beatrice is the goal of his research. Usually, if one loses a mistress but has a child left behind to remember them by, they pour all of their love onto that child. Therefore, we naturally assumed that there was no such child between the Kinzo-san and Beatrice.
So that leaves us with another devil's proof.
Yes, it's impossible to prove that a child between him and a mistress didn't exist. So now that this child has actually appeared, we have to assume she did exist after all.
That's a bit of a rushed argument. It's more realistic that someone caught wind of the trouble with the Ushiramiya family inheritance, knew about the grandfather's relationship with a mistress long ago, and impersonated her, trying to take a slice of the inheritance for themselves.
Sure, that is realistic. But we can't deny the possibility that she really is an illegitimate child. One who lived in isolation, forgotten by grandfather, and who's returned for revenge, right?
Revenge? What do you mean?
Sorry. Guys just like to dramatize stuff to make it sound interesting. I've seen too many weird dramas. Normally that might have come off as a line joke. But the joke had landed on an uninvited mystery guest calling herself Beatrice had marched in on the day of the family conference where the bloody argument and the inheritance had took center stage. There was no way better joke would be welcomed with laughter. So, it really was a big help when Angel laughed brightly to calm everyone down.
I see. That does sound quite intriguing. I would love to read a novel with a plot like that.
I think it could actually work. After all, right now on this island, there's 1, 2, 3, a full 18 people, right? If anyone tries to do something weird, they'll immediately get caught. And thanks to the typhoon, they can't even leave the island. In other words, if you tried to commit some crazy crime, you'd be screwed.
I agree. In a dead end, without any way to escape, and in a situation where everyone's really suspicious of her, I seriously doubt she could pull off a terrifying revenge drama like that.
Probably not. In that case, it would be more realistic if she had come in secret without making her presence known. I simply cannot imagine someone appearing openly to take revenge outside of some historical drama. Well, who knows, right? Revenge is based on emotion, not logic. If you've got someone willing to go down the line with their opponent, they might not be afraid of anything, not even the police or large numbers of people.
It's okay, Jessica-chan. None of the disturbing things we're imagining will happen.
Like the battle royale between our parents over the inheritance isn't disturbing.
That's right. Dad and Uncle Rudolph are pretty tough. And Aunt Eva's been trained in the martial arts. We'll be fine. Yeah.
Jessica didn't say it out loud, but she'd vaguely noticed that her own father stood in opposition to all the other siblings on the inheritance issue. They usually played nice in front of the children, but when that pretense was lifted away, like it had been at dinner, the result would be a tumultuous uproar. After realizing this, it was only natural for Jessica to be frightened at the thought, and her parents might get caught up in some kind of trouble and become human sacrificing for something terrifying. Seriously, George Yannick is right. Nothing is gonna happen. Even if she pretends she's a witch, what can a single human woman who can't even use magic do? Ooh.
Wszyscy wiedzą.
To to.
Okay.
Ty.
A!
The sudden creepy laugh made all of them jump. And when they realized the strange laugh was coming from Arya, they were shocked again.
I see. So that's how you see it, Butler.
What is? Don't laugh all creepy like that.
You accept Beatty's existence for now. At least you accept her as the 19th person and a guest. But that's all, right? You don't accept that the 19th person Beatrice is a witch, right?
Bro folds. Huh. Of all the crazy things to say. Of course, that's what I think. Witches couldn't possibly exist. The only possibility is that she's a human woman claiming to be a witch.
Isn't that odd, Butler? That's a devil's proof, isn't it? Of course, witches don't exist. But just because you've never met a witch, that doesn't mean you've proven that witches don't exist, right?
That's right, you're not wrong there. I can prove that witches don't exist. However, even if I can't prove it, I can claim it. I can claim that witches don't exist.
Why? How can you claim that witches don't exist? even though you can't prove it.
Because things like that don't exist.
So that's QED. Nie wiem co to jest.
Koniec dowodu.
A. You finished your proof without any evidence or basis. Now there's a typical case of the ignorant willfully ignoring the shallowness of their own knowledge. A reckless suspension of thought.
Then there's only one way to resolve this, Maria. The witch's side needs to show some proof themselves. It's the devil's proof again. If you bring me a devil, we can end this right now. In this case, we can just get this woman calling herself Beatrice to display some wonderful, magnificent magic like the twinkling stars. All she has to do is show us something that's impossible for humans, right?
Uważaj, czego sobie życzysz.
Oh no, you two, please settle down.
Noticed that the atmosphere between them was getting worse and tried to calm them. It seemed as though Battle quickly realized that he wasn't acting like an adult. But Maria's expression didn't loosen. As she laughed creepily, she kept staring at Battler.
Wow.
You quit it too, Maria. Let's get back in a good mood, okay?
Sorry.
Na zdrowie.
O mój Boże. Nie będę drugi raz się tak śmiać. If that's what you want, Beatrice will definitely show you something impossible for humans. When she does, you will believe it too, okay? Not okay. You'll believe in Beatrice.
Sure. If she lets me have a look, I'll believe.
It's a chess debate between the witch and you, Butler. If you get checkmate, you will believe in the witch.
Oh, I like the way you put that. The witch shows her magic. My king is put into check. I quibble, saying it'd be possible to reproduce her feat using measures even a human could take, and my king escapes. Failing to do that would be checkmate, so that's a pretty good analogy.
Butler, in chess, you and your opponent have pieces that move in the same way. So you can predict your opponent's moves. But you know what? What you aren't expecting is that your opponent's pieces might be able to move in ways far stranger than yours. You've simply assumed that since witches must not exist, the movement of Beatrice's pieces will obviously be the same as your own. Zaorany. But you know what? Sorry, Butler, but your chess partner isn't human. She's a witch. She can move her pieces in ways that humans can't. Right now, your understanding is flawed. Butler, you like uncurious chessboard thinking, right?
Beatrice gra w szachy 5D.
Yeah, I like that style of thinking where you stand in your opponent's shoes.
And that's why you will get stuck. Even though your opponent is a witch, you won't accept it. So you can't understand the moves a witch might make. and your chessboard thinking won't work. Your knowledge of your opponent is mistaken. The very first premise of chessboard thinking is broken down.
So that's your game.
Co znaczy sonata nad tym, bo nie rozumiem.
To
You
na to
cannot win
księżycowe.
in chess against a witch. Nie rozumiem tego sonata, ale spoko.
Okay.
What did they mean by that? W sensie sonata jako utwór?
No musisz to zaśpiewać w takim razie.
Możliwe.
Jak sonatę.
Tak może być?
Może być.
Wow.
I don't know what happened after that. We servants were strictly ordered not to approach the dining room.
I see.
Ślub.
So, Shannon, have you ever met this person called Beatrice before?
I don't know.
Powiem.
That was a slightly odd way to say it. It didn't quite sound as if she was saying her memory was hazy.
For us servants, Beatrice-sama is a second master of this mansion. Some people say we've spread that rumor because of the master's influence. But even when I'd just started working here, the story of Beatrice-sama was already being whispered of.
I've heard about it before. If you don't show her respect, you'll get cursed, and at least one servant actually did meet with an accident, right?
Yes, but it's true that some people believed more than others. I believe respect for that sort of thing shouldn't be forgotten, so I have never doubted that she exists. I vaguely believed that a shadowy being called the Golden Witch existed.
And then that witch, whose existence was so shadowy and obscure, actually showed herself and entered openly through the entrance hall. Is that what happened?
I don't know. I don't know anything.
When you brought her dinner, did you talk about anything?
No, nothing.
I see. Still, a witch that eats food somehow doesn't sound so realistic. Maybe, after all, it's just someone who knows about the witch legend on this island, someone who's staking on Beatrice's name. I think you have probably come to respect Beatrice and think of her as something like a guardian god of the mansion. So when a person appeared actually going by that name, maybe you were a little disturbed.
Bro, on nie wie.
That's right. I guess that must be the case.
George was slightly at a loss sad about what to do with Shannon's downcast appearance. Maybe not just Genji, but even the young servant had been ruthlessly questioned as to whether they knew anything about this Beatrice person. Thinking that, he tried to cheer her up somehow. Surely, just like Mari and Jessica, Shannon was unable to fully hide the agitation caused by the sudden visit of this person calling herself the Golden Witch. He'd been so sure that was the case. but George probably had no way of looking into Shannon's heart. Shannon was bitter and sad. The door to the Golden Land would be opened. The witch had definitely told her that. That meant the demise of everything. Even if she accepted the ring from George, they would never be married now. Now, in the first place, did furniture like her even have the right to be married? Even if the witch hadn't come to signal her their demise, wasn't the relationship fated to fail sooner or later? Had she turned her gaze to focus solely on those fun days spent with George, while purposefully closing her eyes to the sad reality?
What's wrong? You really haven't looked well for a while now.
George-san, what does it mean to be engaged?
Huh? Uh, uh, it means making a promise to marry. But I think, in that sense, it means the same thing as marriage. To be honest, I want to take you home as my wife right away. But right now I'm in the middle of training and I'm still a long way from having the capacity to create my own castle. That's why I want to take you home with me with my head held high, only after I have become a full adult. I'm not talking about the distant future. I just want you to wait a short 3 years. But that doesn't mean I want to lie about my feelings for another 3 years. So I decided to give you an engagement ring. That might be a shameful reason as a man. Maybe it's shameful to get engaged because I want you to wait, since I can't support my work and a wife at the same time yet. But I will definitely.
Thank you very much. I understand that to you, George-san, an engagement ring means something than one of many presents you'd give to a lover.
Of course, it's different. An engagement ring isn't a simple accessory. It's an oath between lovers, a noble promise left in the form of a ring.
So, if we were to get married right away, it'd be completely meaningless, right?
Then it wouldn't be an engagement ring. I would give it to you as a wedding ring. Either way, I would still be giving you a ring.
So it's a sold sign, like saying, "This woman is mine, nobody touch her."
No, that's not what I...
George knew that he was weak by nature. When he'd been captivated by Shannon and had sworn to become an excellent man, he had also sworn to throw away that weak part of himself. So even if he had to be blunt about it, he chose to answer a little roughly. He was so sure that doing so would bolster and reassure Shannon.
No, that may be true. Sayo, I will make you my wife. I won't give you to anyone else. I will make you mine alone, so no one will lay a hand on you. That's what this ring is, without a doubt.
Thank you very much, George-san. I'm truly happy.
To chyba ty niektóry?
Then, George-san, if it was decided by fate that this engagement ring, that this promise could never be fulfilled, would you still give it to me?
Shannon tried to ask that, but she swallowed her words. Because George had already spoken the answer. George had said it. He had said that to him an engagement ring was infinitely similar to a wedding ring. Therefore, accepting George's ring had a significance far more sacred than a promise to marry.
So, I will stop calling this an engagement ring. From now on, this isn't an engagement. It's a wedding ring.
Is that really okay? Is it okay to just proclaim that we're married without even God's blessing?
Yeah. It's enough to tell God, Father, and the Mother about it afterwards. We will tell them all that we've been married. No one will be able to undo it.
George's son.
I am not saying this because of a momentary emotion. I am not just looking at how you are now. I am looking at the you of tomorrow, of the next day. I am even gazing at you as you will be in old age, in the future, as I say this.
You're always talking about that, George son. About how you want to enjoy your old age slowly, surrounded by healthy children and grandchildren.
Yeah. At that time, and older, you will be beside me. That is what I expect. No, what I foresee. Yes, because that day will surely come.
Will it surely come? Is it okay for me to believe?
Yes, surely. Definitely. And this ring proves it without words.
Please, show me.
Huh? Here it is.
George, thinking he was being told to show her the ring, hurriedly took out the ring box. Even though he had practiced so much, he hadn't been able to do it cool. But Shannon wasn't looking at that. In her straight and direct gaze were vague tears and a smile. She focused her eyes on George's eyes. No, on something she could see beyond his eyes.
Show me. Show me that future.
Yeah, I will show you. Surely. I promise it. And not just until old age. After we die too. Even when we become spirits, we'll always be together.
Boże, jaki debil, jak ludzie umrą, to nie żyją.
Ale mogą być razem pochowani.
A, okej, dobra, nieważne.
Shannon wiped away her tears and took the ring box. Inside was a diamond ring worthy of blessing the two of them. George said the line that he'd practiced over and over again inside his head.
I want you to put this ring on, whatever finger you like, and have that be your answer. So by tomorrow morning...
Shannon smiled, took the ring, and with a completely natural movement, put it on her ring finger of her left hand.
Wow,
Whoa.
wow.
Very hand look.
Nie spodziewałam się.
Such a natural, ordinary movement. And for a while, George was stunned.
Oh,
This is my answer, George-san.
Shannon, no, Sayo.
Even if we become spirits, we'll always, always be together, George-san.
There was no blessing from God, no pastor to witness, nothing. But the two who were married proclaimed it. Two souls were joined here today.
Ne-san, you're a fool.
Podglądał!
Rumi.
So Nanoka.
So, Nanoka. Is that so? Even though your furniture, I'm not furniture. Not anymore. Liar! Why are you fooling yourself? Even though you know you can never become human. Even though you know you can't become human unless you go to the Golden Land. Knowing that, why did you abandon the promise that would let you go there? Oh, right. By accepting the ring, that promise with Beatrice-sama comes to nothing, doesn't it? I'm sorry. From now on, you, George-sama, the master, and everyone else are under the same conditions. 13 people will be sacrificed. Only 5 people will be invited to the Golden Land. And you rejected one of those places yourself. That's odd. It looks like you're the one with regrets, Kanon-kun. You're the one with regrets, aren't you, Ne-san? You got engaged, right? Even though you knew it was a fate that would never be fulfilled. Yes, I promised that we would always be together for eternity. So you know what? In that instant, our eternity was completed. Even if we become sacrifices, it's already completed. So it's okay. Kanon, you're the one who actually has regrets. We're furniture, right? We'll be freed, no matter the result. So it doesn't matter whether we go to Golden Land or not. And yet you're set on going there. You want to become human no matter what, right? Why? Because I want to become human. I've had enough of being furniture. Why? I wanted to fall in love too.
Tears were coming from Cannon's eyes, and he howled.
I liked Milady. And after seeing Milady that day, I started liking her even more. And when I heard from that Milady also liked me, I was really happy. But I'm furniture, and I can't accept Milady's feelings. You're wrong. We may be furniture, we may be less than human, but that doesn't mean that we aren't qualified to love. I thought that if these feelings wouldn't ever come to anything, I'd be better off not having them. I just decided that eventually I'd disappear, and that it would definitely hurt her. No, that's wrong. I was just frightened. I was just afraid, thinking that any love that couldn't be eternal was best avoided. Even though their lives last only a few weeks, cicadas fall in love and then vanish. But you will never find a cicada that refused to fall in love simply because it would end in a few weeks.
Co to za okrzyki cierpienia?
It seemed that Cannon was still muttering his regrets, but by now it was all jumbled up with his sobs.
That witch is detestable. Why did she plant these feelings in me? If only she hadn't pulled that bizarre prank, I wouldn't have paid Milady any notice. Beatrice-sama is detestable. To make you cry bitter tears, she played games with your fate. But I don't think things went as the witch expected. After all...
Knowing love isn't a regret that ties you to life. It is the destination we're supposed to reach in our journey through life.
O, przebrała się.
Well now, Cannon, that promise you worked so hard for has now come to nothing. Very well then. With this, the conditions for all the pieces are the same. There are 18 pieces. 13 will be offered as sacrifices. Who will the 5 survivors be? Or else, will someone destroy this ceremony? Who? How? This isn't a chess problem. It's a game on equal footing. I won't be cornering you one-sidedly. you'll be able to frantically escape my advances and force a tie in an invalid match. At any rate, I doubt you can manage more than repeating that over and over. And it probably won't be that difficult for you. However, this invalid match will continue forever until eventually wears down your mind and kills you. That is when you accept your defeat and surrender to me. There's a reason I said if it was a game on equal footing. That's because rules for my loss have also been established. There's nothing as boring as a game you can't lose, right? As for how to defeat me, that would be the epitaph that stands as an offering to my portrait. It's both the way to open the door to the Golden Land and the key to destroying my ceremony. I tried to complete the ceremony in accordance with the epitaph. You tried to solve the riddle of the epitaph, destroy the ceremony, and overthrow me. Solve the riddle hidden in the epitaph, and expose the location of the vast sum of the gold I gave Kinzo. What result will this game show us? I'm expecting a good fight, okay? Entertain me, Ushinomiya Battle!
Trochę przesterowana jesteś, Deli.
I dobrze.
Czemu w kościele? O, oni mają kapliczkę.
Ślub!
Więc mają swoją własną kaplicę. Ja cię.
To ślub
Czy co?
bierze.
Nie, to chyba coś... Aha, tutaj już jesteśmy w 4 gęstościach, chyba się przenieśli do kościoła. Okej. Tak.
I have no objections. Natsuhi and I acknowledge it.
Nie wiem, jak to przeczytać. I can't believe it. And I don't want to. But this is the truth, isn't it?
Natsuhi, choose your words more carefully. She's this family's most honored guest.
I also acknowledge it. I can't argue back.
Yes, I acknowledge it. I have absolutely no complaints. I can't believe you actually... You have my honest respect.
Me too. Incredible. I genuinely respect you. So I have to acknowledge it.
I acknowledge it too. I still can't believe it. Still, what can I do? You've proven devils. It's your victory.
The devil's proof was a convenient excuse you liked using to handle unproven matters. But now it's become your mortal enemy, has it not?
Don't torture me, mighty witch. I've already acknowledged you. I resign.
Kyria, do you still have objections? It must have everyone in agreement. if you alone will not acknowledge my existence.
As the witch laughed boldly, the siblings started getting frantic. They were afraid of displeasing the witch. Kyria lightly closed her eyes, and after keeping silent for a while, opened her mouth.
My apologies. I resign.
Only Kyria had faced the witch with stern eyes until the end. However, this had only resulted in her refusing to accept the truth for a short time. Truth, the being that was before her eyes, couldn't be denied. Devils had already been proven.
We also acknowledge it. You are Beatrice, the Ushinomiya family alchemist, and the user of great magic. I must acknowledge the fact that you are a witch.
Jakiś mokry sen Beatrysze, czy o co chodzi?
Chyba.
Tak trochę wygląda.
Tak! Nie ma innej opcji.
Przecież ten cały mord na Rokęcimie to i mokry sen. Aha. To chyba ten moment.
Co się dzieje?
Noc. Tyle. Wiedźma wychodzi z nory.
O nie, Jezu.
Czyli z pokoju VIP.
Mhm.
Tak.
Co jest?
Ruletka się kręci.
Tam.
Ciekawa, na kogo wypadnie.
No tego Benz.
Na Beatrycze.
Nie no, ona nie może.
Bro, jaki suspens. Kurwa.
O co chodzi z tymi dwoma portretami?
To może nam jest coś podpowiadać, ale jesteśmy debilami chyba. Nie wiem.
Możliwe.
O,
Jeszcze nie wiemy, się dowiemy na pewno później. Ach,
Co się stanie?
pusta.
Ten drugi to ktoś namalował fanart.
Inzo trzyma w skarbcu.
Was it that sound that always fills my ears? Is it the sound of the rain, the sound of a waterfall, or could be radio static? If not, I want it to be the sound of blood flowing through my body. I want it to be the sound of blood circulating throughout me, telling me that I am still alive. Oh! Oh!
No. Is it morning?
Co?
Kinzo!
Peering through a crack in the curtain was faint, but it at least told him that the dawn had broken. Finzo, still in the position he'd been when he woke up, sitting in a chair and looking up at the ceiling, The blood slowly traveled throughout his body.
Spał sobie w krześle.
Bro.
Judging by the clock, it was early morning. 6 on the dot. No matter how tired he was, no matter how deeply he slept, he always woke up at exactly this time, as though he had measured it with an hourglass. He didn't think of this as something to boast about, but he told himself that as long as he could manage this, his health couldn't be that bad.
Morning has come, which means... It would appear I've avoided becoming one of the first sacrifices. Was I merely lucky when the roulette was spun? Or is it the fruit of my efforts? How irritating that I cannot tell the difference, but I mustn't be bothered by such trivialities.
Shinzo was struck by a faint desire to see beyond the study door. After all, he might find the traces of someone's vain struggle to break through the door, a sign that someone had tried to select him as one of the first 6 sacrifices.
Humans are cheap creatures. Even though everything is ultimately decided by God. When humans are given good fortune, they arrogantly feel it was due to their own ability.
That was why he wanted to check whether there was a wretched mark on the door. The very desire was human. And that's why Kinzo did not check. He often rejected desires that came to him because he was human. By doing that, he could be immersed in a feeling of sufficiency, as though he himself had become a being that surpassed humans.
Wow, okay.
He recognized human desires for what they were, and guarded against them. Things that a human would want to do, he resisted. This eccentricity and rebellious nature had surely given him a rare genius, making it possible for him to succeed in his exploits and as he revived the Ushiromiya family in a single generation.
Let's see how long he can resist going to the bathroom.
Well then, Beatrice, what were the 6 pieces you took? And what will your next move be? Entertain me. My defense is perfect. I will not shame myself like that, like last time. Nie wiem, jak się kij ześmieje. Muhahaha.
Woke early. They had to open the curtains, prepare breakfast, and complete various other tasks to welcome the guests to a new day.
Ty decydujesz, jak się śmieje.
No to myślę, że muhahaha.
No to widzisz.
Następnym razem tak będzie, obiecuję.
Goda was the most enthusiastic. During the family conference, he had been told to concentrate his efforts especially on cooking, and he'd been specifically exempted from several tasks that servants normally must do. Goda, who was a show-off, seemed to be feeling particularly superior because of that. She let Genji and the rest prepare the rest of the mansion, and worked making breakfast in the kitchen. Genji split the work with Shannon and Cannon as they carried out various tasks. Shannon headed to the dining hall and knocked. Last year, the family conference had continued into the early hours of the morning. Who would have been out if this year's conference had done the same? Considering the possibility that they were still having a discussion inside, she knocked. But there was no response, so she opened the door and said good morning.
A tam zwłoki.
Good morning. Is anyone there?
The room was cold, and the conference seemed to have ended a long time before. There was a tea set on the table from which they'd probably been drinking, arranged in a way that would make it easy to clean up. Cleaning up the tea was a servant's job. If the family members were extra generous and cleaned it up themselves, the servants would lose face. So it was a truly pleasant act of kindness for the family to do only this much. As she approached the table to clean it, she noticed something like a memo that had been left near the utensils and cups. Since it was right next to the tea set, she hadn't picked it up, naturally thinking it was a memo for the servant doing the cleaning. Written there was no request, nor was it thanks for preparing the tea. There was just a single word. Shannon looked at it blankly and read it out loud.
Chapel?
To wszyscy tam są zamordowani.
Chapel to jest kaplica? Okej.
A small sound kept repeating over and over. Normally, that sound would have been too trivial to be worth caring about. If only I could stop hearing it soon. I could go back to sleep right away, she thought vaguely. But no matter how much time has passed, the sound did not end. It repeated over and over. Oh. Shut up. Who was that banging on the door this whole time? As soon as... To jest chyba Rosa. Tak, to jest chyba Rosa. As soon as she realized that she woke up, someone was knocking. Then she noticed that it wasn't just a knock, but a voice as well.
Rosa-sama, Rosa-sama. Good morning.
Daily.
Wait, I'm coming now.
It had been Genji's voice. Looking at the clock, it wasn't even 7 yet.
Jezu, to ja kiedy trzeba przyjść na Umineko?
It was clearly too early to wake the guests. That something happened that was bad enough to cause this. She felt her sleepiness increasingly fade thanks to this premonition of misfortune. Though Genji was a servant, Rosa had known him since her childhood days, so even though she was slightly defenseless in her pajamas, she opened the door at crack and answered.
I co? Co się stało?
Good morning. I apologize for waking you this early.
Daily.
Halo?
Zasnęła, jest tak nudno.
Zasnęła. No zasnęła, no.
Daily.
No cóż,
Halo, budzimy się.
Przepraszam.
No zasnęła, no.
Nie, ja myślę o ważnych rzeczach. O kurczykach pony rozmawiałam właśnie.
Okej.
Rozumiem, to bardzo poważna konwersacja.
Nic się nie stało, no.
Did something happen?
Ja też lubię kucyki.
yeah. Actually, at the chapel.
Whispered something into Rosa's ear. For a second, it seemed Rosa couldn't understand what she'd been told. After having it repeated several times, she realized that apparently something strange had happened.
Zwłoki znaleźli.
Rosa closed her door for a second, changed her clothes quickly, and followed Genji towards the mansion.
Szybko, w kapliczce jest żabka.
The chapel requires some explanation. It wasn't in the mansion, but in a grove behind it, a short walk's distance away. It had been built at the same time as the mansion, so though its walls had been burned many times, making it look new from the outside, it was a very old building. Rosa dashed through the rain along with Genji. Just like the previous night, the rain was falling in earnest. Eventually the chapel came into sight from beyond the Finn Grove. To jest kaplica?
Wow.
Wow.
To chyba nie jest kaplica.
Trochę duże jak na Caprice, no.
Oni mają cały kościół?
Oczywiście, wszystko.
Też tam w ogóle jest wierzący. Czy dla jaj sobie wybudowali?
Nie no,
Może to-
Japończykom się chyba po prostu podoba takie coś.
Może
Oni
po
biorą
prostu-
ślub kościelny, bo ładnie wygląda.
może
Kinzo
ten-
coś tam mówił o Bogu, chociaż nie wiem, czy faktycznie.
Może Beatrycie to był? Nie wiesz.
W sumie, bo Kinzo lubi Zachód. Ja myślę,
No.
że on może się interesować też chrześcijaństwem.
No, on mówił coś tam o Bogu, więc...
Mhm. Just looking at it from the outside, it seemed a place of dazzling beauty, where a pair of young lovers might want to get married. However, Kinza apparently viewed it as a very sacred place, so Rosa and her siblings had been given strict instructions not to approach it unnecessarily. Even though they were all grown up now, approaching this chapel for any reason would still make them feel guilty. And also afraid, as if their father might get angry and hit them in the face. The servant silhouettes could be seen in front of the chapel's entrance, Goda, Shannon, and Cannon, which meant that all the servants on the morning shift had gathered. A short while ago, Genji had spoken to Rosa, telling her what the situation was. However, without laying eyes on it directly, she definitely hadn't been able to understand. It was probably the same for all the servants gathered here as well. Without seeing it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have been able to understand what was going on. Ah! Kolejny krzyż żelazny. On the door at the entrance to the chapel was something very large, drawn with a creepy, stingy paint that made one think of blood. Something like a creepy magic circle. Nie, to ten krzyż templariuszy.
Jezu, moja mina.
What is this? When was it drawn here?
The servants looked at each other. Goda was the first to open his mouth.
My apologies. We don't usually enter this building, so we don't know when it was made.
Then who was the first person to find it?
It was me. When I went to the dining hall to clean up the tea set, I found a memo with chapel written on it.
Shannon held out the memo with a shaking hand.
Halo, słychać mnie? Przepraszam,
Tak.
wyciszyłam się.
Teraz tak.
Patrz, tak.
Okay. Whose handwriting is this? Isn't this Nissan's or Nessa's? So after that, you came here and found this, right?
Yes. Rose-sama, look at this.
Nie, nie pokazuję jej zwłok.
What? Happy Halloween for what?
Trick or... Nie.
Treat.
Treat or trick.
Na odwrót.
Sorry.
Cannon pointed at a single line of English written below the creepy magic circle. Until it had been proven out to her, she'd thought it was just another part of the magic circle. There, the following words were written in English. Happy Halloween for Maria. Happy Halloween for Maria. This creepy magic circle was for Maria. Happy Halloween.
O, jak słodko.
Yesterday, only one person has said Happy Halloween to Maria.
Na pewno się ucieszy.
The key phrase
Maria na
matched.
pewno.
It was the Golden Witch, Beatrice.
Ej, czy my widzieliśmy już Marię?
Nie.
Dzisiaj jeszcze nie.
But what about Maria? She should be sleeping with her cousins, right? Did you check?
My apologies. We just now realized that Maria Sama's name was written here. We still have not checked. Quickly!
What are you doing? I go check on Maria and come back. Tell Cross Nisa and the rest too. After that, follow their instructions.
Oni nie żyją. Nie ma komu powiedzieć.
After saying that much, Rosa finally noticed that something was odd. Her own rank in the family conference was the lowest of the 4 siblings. Why had she been the only one called during an abnormal situation like this, when the other siblings hadn't been? Ciekawe dlaczego. Może dlatego, że ich nie ma. Even if Maria's name had popped up.
Could it be, what?
Yes. We tried to contact Kraus-sama, but we couldn't find him.
And Madame was not in her room. Judging by the condition of the sheets, she might not have returned to her bed at all last night.
Something creepy crawling slowly up her back.
Did you check inside the chapel?
No, not yet. We tried, but
Actually, the lock to the chapel is special, so the master key will not work. There's a single key that can open it, but that key is missing from the key box.
Closer to the door with a creepy magic circle if she could. Rosa readied herself in approach, tried pushing and pulling the knob. All she felt was the resistance of the sturdy lock. To introspection drzwi.
we searched to see if there was a window we could enter through, but I think we'd have to break one of those windows if we wanted to check inside. What do you think?
Okna są przeźroczyste.
There's no way I can give you approval to do something like that. This is Father's precious chapel. Że jak na piękną... Nie wiem co to jest.
The events of the previous days rolled around in the back of Rose's mind. That's right. Oh. Ej, czytasz to.
That's right. When I met that witch in the rose garden, didn't she hand Maria an envelope? Yeah, there's no mistake. She did hand it over. When Maria tried to open it, the witch told her not to do it yet. And then she surely said, "The time to open, that will come soon." Rosa...
Sure, could be no mistake. The envelope Maria had received was... to the guest house, Rosa approached the cousin's room while having her footsteps, softly opened the door, and peered inside. Inside, she could hear the healthy snores of typical of young people. There were 4 children, and Mario was there, sleeping soundly. After breathing a sigh of relief, she entered the room with quiet footsteps. She was after Mario's handbag, which was resting on the sofa. Mario always liked carrying her treasures around with her. She was probably emulating how her mother always carried her makeup with her. Of course, she was just imitating her mother, so everything on the inside was junk. In Mario's case, it was full of small, trivial items, notes was describing things of that nature, and so on. Rosa had never been happy to see her daughter walking around with things like that, which weren't girlish at all. However, trying to force Mario to stop her resulted in a big fight, so she decided to let it be.
Here. This is it.
With the crest of the gold eagle. When she took it out of the bag, she realized there was a heavy, vaguely cylindrical object inside. She could tell by its feel and weight. Oh, this was a key. After fiddling around and checking that Mario was still sound asleep, Rosa tore open the envelope and the contents spilled out into her palm. There was a key with an old and intricate design. Rosa gripped that key and dashed out. Butler seemed to have noticed that sound, but after grumbling and turning over in his sleep, he started snoring again.
Genji-san, could this key be the key to the chapel?
Where did you... Yes, this is the key to the chapel.
Dum dum dum.
Rosa approached the creepy magic circle once again and put the key in the keyhole. There was a strong resistance, and it resisted for a short while. It stopped resisting with a clunk. Then, after screaming with a noise that hurt one's ears, slowly began to open. Eddie.
Is anyone there?
Her voice reverberated throughout the massive room. Of course, there was no answer.
Of course there was no answer.
The chapel had a high ceiling, and the air was cold. And even on this rainy, unsettling day, it felt sacred for some reason. O Jezu, tam są organy?
No so.
Fajnie. The servants timidly followed after Rosa.
Rosa-sama, look at that.
Having noticed it immediately and pointed. Over there was the altar. Okay. In the place that would normally have a pastor preaching of God's love, there was a table that shouldn't have been there. Oh. At first it looked like a dining table. There were actually gorgeous plates and utensils placed there, making it look like a child's birthday party or something.
On you robi dziady.
Upon closer inspection, the surrounding area had been decorated with pumpkins and black and orange ribbons. They were probably Halloween decorations. And there were people seated at the table. 3 people on each side facing each other, seated in chairs. They could be recognized at a glance. Kraus and his wife, Ev and her husband, and Rudolph and his wife. But if you wanted to be sure, you'd still have to go even closer and check. Because they seemed almost like dolls. Rosa and the rest had opened the door.
Wieczerza?
Tam było trochę więcej osób.
No
Ale tak.
Nawet ostatnia.
Modern interpretation.
Przede wszystkim ostatnio.
Rosa and the rest had opened the door, entered all at once with the sound of many footsteps, and called out, asking if anyone was there. And yet, there had been no reaction. Even if Rosa and the rest assumed they were being ignored, you'd still expect there to be some kind of reaction. And there hadn't even been that. So, at first, it felt like someone had set down some dolls that greatly resembled those people. By now, it wasn't just Rosa, Shannon, and Cannon, and even Goda. They were all fighting frantically with a creepy emotion that grasped their hearts.
Nissan, Nessan.
As she walked towards the altar, she called out again, but there was still no reaction. Yes, by now, Rosa was sure of it. She was sure they weren't dolls, but the people themselves. Ooh.
This is...
Drew close enough to see clearly what lay on the table. It still looked like an adorable banquet, reminiscent of a child's birthday party.
Ostatnia wieczerza.
Plates piled up with sweets, cute pitchers with drinks, all kinds of pumpkin-shaped ornaments. They were all decorated in a Halloween style, and while this probably wasn't the time to be thinking, Maria would surely be delighted to see all this. Jezu, to wszystko jest we krwi. That was the state of the table they sat in front of, apparently asleep. It was an eerie scene, although a small, fun-looking Halloween party had been stopped in time.
They're all sleeping?
Boże, ona jest głupia.
Ale oni są bardzo ipi. Teraz to pośpią za wszystkie czasy.
Patrycja im dała żelki bez cukru.
Nie!
Nie! Żelki bez cukru i żelatyny.
Ugh. Ugh. When she approached even closer to them, she realized that there were snacks scattered all over the floor. Candies, cookies, soda, and chocolates, all with heavily fantasy-themed packaging. They were all scattered across the carpet covered with blackberry and cranberry jam. Huh?
Okej.
Okay.
Dżemik, smakuwa.
Mm.
O!
Rosa and the rest finally realized what the situation was. It was a Halloween party. A
Artysta.
banquet for those not of this world.
Impreza!
Bez nich jeszcze nie. Ja bym się
No,
wkurzyła.
hamowa trochę, hamowa trochę.
No, wstyd.
No bo to dla duchów. Dla wiedźm impreza.
Uuu.
No to czemu Marii nie ma? Przecież ona jest aspirującą wiedźmą.
Bro, dosłownie dziady.
No.
To dosłownie dziady.
Polska!
Kraus, Natsuki, Eva, Hideyoshi, Rudolph, and Kirie were all seated in chairs, apparently asleep. But all dead.
Czyli Ewa i Hideyoshi są martwi. Niedobrze.
Tak. How could you tell that they were all dead and not simply sleeping? That was because they'd been vertically sliced open, from their
Oj.
chests to their stomachs.
Kraus-sama! Jii.
Ona mówi hi, ona się wita.
A, przepraszam.
Hello.
Hi!
Shannon, are you high?
I'm so high!
Dream blunt rotation.
Nie mogę.
How
Płakałam się aż.
how cruel.
The six of them had sat down at a Halloween party before having their stomachs split open, killing them.
Nie, ale
Then
ja.
the jam covering the floor must be what overflowed from their stomachs once they stuffed themselves completely, right? Tak.
No.
Ciekawa interpretacja.
Co to za porównania w ogóle?
No.
The contents of their stomach had been scattered all over the floor.
O fuj,
And that wasn't all.
Kuźwa, ja chciałem dżemu trochę sobie wziąć do domu.
No nie jest tak dobrze. Out of their stomachs, it was almost as though they'd poured out. As though snacks had overflowed from there. Jezu, ile tego.
Co to jest bollywoodzki film?
Co to
Candies and
było?
cookies, so... No to jest ten dźwięk.
Jakiś Umineko slander.
Candies and cookies, soda and chocolates had poured out, stained with blood, and had scattered across the floor. Could have happened to cause this? Nie wiem. It was almost though their stomachs were stuffed full to bursting with sweets, and all poured out when their stomachs split open. Rosa remembered a certain shocking meal, a turkey that had been served on her own birthday. When it had been cut open with a knife, out flowed one of her favorite foods. But since she hadn't been told what was inside, the deep red ketchup omelette rice poured out like bloody maggots. Pulsing, dripping, slimy, pulpy, squelching.
Dziękujemy.
Fajne. Podobało mi się to. Real experience.
Mhm.
The trauma of her youth was revived. Rosa felt a monster raging inside her stomach as the acid started to rise.
Zżyga się.
No, to teraz Daily, musisz się zżygać. Unable to hold back, she threw it all up on the floor.
Musisz
Proszę.
zrobić takie blech.
Wiecie
Dale
co,
jest tak
bo
dobrą
ostatnio
aktorką,
zgania
że byłaby w
często,
stanie.
Więc wolę nie próbować.
A, okej.
Jest tak dobrą aktorką, żeby to się stało naprawdę.
No właśnie.
Her empty stomach had nothing but stomach acid. The scene in front of her was no fun Halloween party now. The three couples were enshrined right there, their stomachs vertically wrenched open with a
To jest jak juj, guba.
Yuri Guba.
Really
Będzie.
Co to znaczy juj, guba?
Wow.
Podstawowe narzędzie każdego inżyniera, ja mam to w garażu.
Masz gioj guba?
No pewnie, że tak.
A ja nie.
No widzisz.
Zazdro.
So many snacks have been stuffed in there, pulpy, squishy. Bloods and guts and sweets were overflowing onto the floor, bloodstained, sticky, sloppy, pulpy, sweet snacks that made your fingers stick together. Gummy.
Gami,
Same
gami,
with
a?
Nie mogę z tego opisu.
Nie mogę. Sloppy
Yes,
slop
gummy.
gummy gum.
But stained with entrails, sloppy pulpy. What was that I stepped on just now that didn't feel like candy or a cookie or a soda or a chocolate?
Kim jest narrator? Bo jakby kto mówi
Powiedzmy, że
gami,
Rosa.
gami, ach. Rosa sobie pomyślała w swojej główce gami, gami, ach.
No,
No,
ja myślę,
Ona
że
nie ma
masz sens.
40 lat, coś tak.
oj przesadzasz.
Lecisz,
No,
Lady.
A, to ja mam, okej.
Mhm.
I'm scared, what did I just step on? I can't even look at the bottom of my food!
Co to było?
Oni kota tam trzymają i go pobili.
What? Oh my gruesome Halloween party!
Niebieski tam umarł?
Dziwisz się mu? Dziwisz się mu?
Nie.
From far
Myślę, że
away-
Maria ma autyzm po Rozie.
To jest bardzo możliwe. Po prostu Rosa umie to ukrywać.
Nie umie.
No,
Gami,
no teraz,
gami, ach.
no teraz to nie. From far away, it had looked truly beautiful, fantastical and fun. But from up close, it was horrible, disgusting, and yet somehow still beautiful. Poets tried as
Wow.
best they could to escape her throat with a loud voice that was neither a scream nor a roar. Roar.
Roar.
Roar.
Kraus-sama.
This is horrible. Just horrible.
Call an ambulance. Call the police.
That's right, the police! 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 Police!
Policja? Ale tam nic nie ma.
To
Wow.
takie miasto w Polsce.
Tak.
Nie wiem, co tam dzwonić.
If a word so tied to reality hadn't come out of God's mouth, Rosa and the rest would probably have found themselves unable to escape that nightmarish party even now. But it wasn't because they thought the police might be able to do something. If they didn't keep yelling about the police, it felt as though another seat might be set up at this demon's party and given to them. Their own channels felt like they were expanding unpleasantly from the inside, rumbling, churning, and it was surely because candy was about to overflow from their stomachs. Rosa, once again tortured by a device to vomit, threw her stomach acid up on the floor. And then she searched to see if there was any candy in it.
Anyway,
Czyli jednak był na końcu żyg.
Mhm.
Przepraszamy cię, Dale.
To już trzeci.
oh,
Rosa coughed violently again, forcefully spitting out the stomach acid that had been burning in her throat. She realized that by now her body had been covered in a filthy sweat.
Gigi-san, Shannon-chan, please contact father and ask for instructions. Golda-san, go with Karan-kun and call the police. Then have Dr. Nanjo come here.
Bring Dr. Nanjo here. It's a bit too late for medical care.
Bra.
The servants accepted their orders and dashed outside. After watching them leave, Rosa once again stared at the siblings, with whom she'd spent good times and bad, and their partners. Though there could be nothing more tragic than this scene. For some reason, she was tempted to describe these fantastical deaths as beautiful.
Przepraszam, czy za jakieś pół godzinki byśmy mogli skończyć, albo w jakimś takim momencie?
Ja bym już
Ja
nawet
myślę,
teraz
że to
kończył.
jest...
O.
Zaraz będzie ten moment.
Bo już się trochę późno robi.
No, trzeba iść spać.
No.
No, teraz jest dobry moment chyba.
No,
Okej.
A, okej.
Dobra. Klasa.